Have you ever wondered how you can make a powerful argument without saying a single word? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're going to deconstruct a political cartoon to really see how visual language works and how an artist can tell a really complex story using nothing but images. So that brings us to our big question. How does an artist actually build an argument? It's not just about what they draw, right? It's about how they draw it. Every single line, every shadow, every little choice they make is like a word in a visual sentence. Okay, here it is, the full image. Just take a second and let it sink in. What you see are three figures against a totally plain background. We've got a person in custody, and they're flanked by two officers. Right away, your brain is already starting to form an impression, a feeling. So now let's figure out how the artist is guiding us to that feeling. We're going to start by focusing on the figures of authority, the two officers who kind of frame the entire scene. They represent the state, the system, really, the power in this whole interaction.
Let's get a closer look here. The first thing you probably notice is how similar they are. I mean, they're almost perfect mirror images of each other. And you have to know, that's not an accident. That is a deliberate choice. The artist wants to portray them not as two different people, but as one single unified entity.
Let's break down the specific choices here. Those sunglasses, they're mirrored and totally opaque. That's so crucial because it stops us from making eye contact, which kind of dehumanizes them, you know? Then you've got the identical stern expressions, the super rigid posture, the official uniforms, and of course, the sidearms displayed right there. All of it together creates this sense of an impersonal, really intimidating force. Okay, so now let's shift our focus. We're going to move from those figures of authority to the individual, right there in the center of it all, the person in custody. And you'll see the artist creates this incredibly powerful contrast. As we zoom in on them, the feeling is just completely different, isn't it? Where the officers were all sharp lines and rigid, this figure feels softer, almost less defined. You can see their eyes above the mask, and they look wide, concerned. And their posture, it's all about constraint, not control.
Every single detail here seems to signal a kind of powerlessness. The face is obscured, yeah, but by a medical mask, which has become a symbol of vulnerability for all of us. The clothes are just casual civilian clothes, the hair's a bit disheveled, the arms are held tight, and notice this, they even seem smaller, physically smaller, almost overwhelmed by the officers on either side.
So we've analyzed the characters, but an artist's canvas is always more than just the people on it. The context, or in this case, the total lack of context, is just as important. Let's dig into that and see how it helps build the message. Seriously, every part of the composition is a clue. The background, the art style, the framing, these are all the tools the artist is using to shape how we interpret the scene. I mean, just take the background. It's totally stark and featureless. Why? Well, by not putting this on a specific street corner or in a specific city, the artist makes the whole scene feel universal, like this could be happening anywhere. The soft watercolor style is also interesting. It creates this strange contrast with the harshness of the subject. But the symmetry, that's key. The individual is perfectly centered, visually trapped by the forces on either side of them. Okay, so we've got the authority figures, we've got the vulnerable individual, and we've got the composition. What happens when we put all of these pieces together? What's the story that's actually being told here?
I mean, when you put them side by side like this, the contrast is just undeniable. It's so clear. The officers, anonymous symbols of high power. Their gaze is hidden, and they are completely in control. The individual, also anonymous, but they have low power, a visible expression of concern, and they are completely controlled. It's just a perfect visual summary of a really unbalanced power dynamic.
So, when you pull all of these visual clues together, this is the story that starts to emerge. It's a narrative about an impersonal, uniform state power exerting total control over a nameless, vulnerable individual. The artist doesn't need a single word to make that argument. The visual evidence does all the heavy lifting. You know, there's a quote that just captures this idea perfectly. Every great drawing is a masterpiece of simplification. By removing the background, by making the officers identical, and by hiding their faces, the artist actually makes the core message louder. In the end, it's what they decide to leave out that makes this drawing so incredibly powerful. And that leaves us with a final question to think about. This was just one image, but as you go about your day, start looking at the images all around you, in the news, in ads, in art, and ask yourself, what are the visual choices being made here? and what stories are being told without a single word.